Day one of 365 days-ish reading the Bible together. You guys, Happy New Year. We are starting from scratch, from the beginning. This time will be a little bit differently. I will not be following a study guide like we did last time. Last time we made it to 113 days out of the 365 days. And it was not in chronological order. This time we are going to be reading through the Bible chronologically. For me, that's personally way easier to, process information and see the full picture when you're reading it front to back instead of bouncing around. I also, for the sake of time, I'm a mom. Realistically, it takes a lot for me to sit down and read the Bible verbatim to you. I can do it on my own personal time. But yeah, so instead of reading the Bible verbatim like I was doing, you're going to read on your time, I'm going to read on my time, and then we're going to come together and I'll just discuss like what stood out to me in those chapters, and in the comments you guys can comment what stood out to you, your own little revelations that you had while reading. And that's how we are going to try to get through the Bible together. Normally, I do read the Bible chronologically every year by myself. I follow the Daily Audio Bible's plan, and I love it. I've been doing that for over 6 years now. Last year was really hard because I was doing my own reading and then doing another reading for you guys. So we're not going to do that because it just did not work out. We're going to do what works. We're going to have a short chat, ideally under 5 minutes, but we'll see what happens when we meet up. So that's enough chit chat. Okay, so Genesis 1 through 3 is the first reading of the year. And basically chapter 1, everybody should know this, the story of creation. The first day God created the light. He established light and darkness. The second day, sky and water. The third day, land and sea. The fourth day, the sun, the moon, and the stars. The fifth day, the fish and the birds. The 6 days, the animals, and you and me. And after God created man and woman, he looked at that and he said, he considered it to be very good. On the 7th day, he rested. So that is chapter 1. And something that I did a short little video on a few days ago that someone pointed out to me is that the sun, the moon, and the stars were not created until day 4. That being said, the light that was already here, obviously Jesus is the light of the world. He is from the beginning. If we flip to John real quick, he says it really nicely. In the beginning, the Word already existed. The Word was God, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He existed in the beginning. In the beginning with God. God created everything through him, and nothing was created except through him. The Word gave life to everything that was created, and his life brought light to everyone. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness can never extinguish it. The light that is being talked about is Jesus. Jesus was that light. The sun, the stars, the moon that's created on day 4. Like, I just thought that was so cool. Like, that the actual physical light that we see in the sky was not there day 1 because it was Jesus. Jesus was the light. So I thought that was pretty cool for chapter 1. Jumping into chapter 2, verse 25. I read the New Living Translation, by the way. Chapter 2, verse 25 of Genesis says, now the man and wife were both naked, but they felt no shame. So this is now after we just established God created all these things in 6 days. He rested on the 7th, and he intended for man and woman to be naked. They're in the garden. They feel no shame. They're roaming around. They have dominion over the animals. Everything he created, he's given this man and woman dominion over, and he's made them, he's created them in his image and in his likeness. And one thing I want to say is the Creator created us. we should be creating, because in his image and in his likeness, if he's a creator, we should be creators. So find what you're good at and let the light shine through that. You are meant to reproduce. So anyway, we were not meant to feel shame. That is the devil that came in and twisted and sussled in Eve's ear. And jumping down to chapter 3, verse 2, Eve is saying, talking to the serpent, and she says, of course we may eat fruit from the trees in the garden. It's only the fruit from the tree in the middle of the garden that we are not allowed to eat. God said you must not eat it or even touch it. If you do, you will die. And the serpent twists God's word. He says, well, you won't die. So jumping down to verse 17, God says, since you listened to your wife, he's now addressing Adam, and ate from the tree whose fruit I commanded you not to eat, the ground is cursed because of you. All your life you will struggle to scratch a living from it. So I know I just jumped through verses. You already done the reading, so hopefully you should be able to catch up. But my train of thought here is that not listening to God only makes your life harder. God called man and woman good. Like, he looked at them afterwards. Hang on. Sorry. And that's why we can't read verbatim, because I'm a mommy. That's my first priority. And so it's hard to dedicate, like, my schedule is crazy. Anyway, jumping back, God looked at man and woman and decided we were very good. There was no shame. Like, how we looked was very good. We were created in his image. We were worthy. We were valuable. We were good. It was a serpent that came in and perverted our thoughts and made us not trust God, be like, second guess what God was saying when the serpent said, you won't die. Well, now Eve's like, and Adam then takes his wife's words and, and then they sin. And that's how sin entered the world. So again, not listening to God only makes life more difficult. Had they obeyed God, followed his word, trusted his word, we might not be here today. And so that's why it's important to try to make this full circle, for you to know God's voice so that you can know God's word, because even the devil knows God's word. The devil knows God's word, and he just twists it to fit his narrative. So if the devil knows God's word, don't you think it's a priority for you to know God's word? That is why we're going to study the Bible together. That's why I try to make sure I get my Bible time in every day. Now, realistically, there are days that I miss. I am human. You're probably going to miss days too, but, get back up the next day and search for God's word. Yes, baby. The last thing I want to touch upon is, I heard this a couple months ago. God never said you couldn't use that tree for shade. Like, that tree could have still been useful to Adam and Eve. It's just there were boundaries. And don't fumble God's blessing for you because you can't stay within the boundaries he put. That tree could have provided shade for them. We'll never know. He just said you can't touch it, you can't eat from it. They could have laid under it. They could have maybe, admired the beauty of it. But they messed around and let someone come in and twist what God said to them instead of trusting God's word, and then they lost out on paradise. Don't let someone else's narrative fumble your blessing. And we'll end there.